For this interactive class, I wanted to walk you through what is on your Moodle. The first thing is a video clip just to look at briefly. It's on Dyslexia the Movie. It's a great movie actually that came out. I really enjoyed taking my students and parents to it, about those who are in the media industry and really well-known people who actually make a great deal of money in the world who all have dyslexia, and how that's helped them and then their struggles as well. So check that out. This is just the clip from the movie, but it kind of gives you an idea of what the movie's about. Also look at this program. It's called Sunform Alphabet. It does have a neat idea about some of that alphabet imagery, different things that I think you might want to look into if you've got, especially since a lot of you are preschool, kindergarten. There are some midline activity breaks here that we talked about earlier and some self-regulation things. That's just for your interest. You don't have to look into it. If you feel like you really are doing brain breaks really well, then ignore it. But if you need some ideas, they're there for you. These next 3 sites are all for cross-body and sound development. They're great. One's done by an occupational therapist who's a mom, one's a reading specialist who's a mom. There are different things on helping to cross midline, but also on helping to determine what sounds should be developed at different ages. So be sure to check out those websites. The Reading Resource Net website, readingresource.net websites for kids, has great fluency activities if you're looking for any. The Read Aquarium site also has some good fluency activities, and then NCSIP gives you some great guidelines for reading and fluency and comprehension. Wright's Law has some research-based reading programs. Since we talked a little bit about assessments earlier in your chapters, I wanted to make sure you knew that that was there if you want another breakdown of some assessments. And then these are just, since we were doing universal design for learning, I made sure to put down on here just some different options on what you can give students to present their information. These are just easy options on all kinds of different ways to present information to students. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the materials to have available at the interactive class. If you click on that, this is what will come up, and there are a few different materials. The first starts with Building Blocks Questionnaire, and it could be your last. It's my first or last. This is to help kind of determine if there are attention issues, if there are reading foundational issues, what's going on with a student. Do these things happen? Are they emotional, self-esteem? Is it reading development? Is it motor development? Just to kind of give you an idea of where could the breakdown be happening. This is a quick assessment that you can have parents, teachers, anyone fill out. It's from the Learning Disabilities Association. On that same section, there is some information about helping students who struggle with listening to be better listeners. That can help with comprehension. Then there's some suggestions for language processing issues on how to help your child who struggles with that processing piece for parents and teachers. There's some information about dyslexia, a few handouts on hand strengthening activities, some things that I showed you earlier like household items that you can use to help with fine motor. This is just a list of all of the different options that are available and all of the different activities that you could try. There are tons more, but this is a quick one. Shawnee Mission actually did a great job of talking about specific occupational therapy things that you might see students having struggles with, and then what to try to help with those struggles. It's one of my favorites, so I thought I'd share that with you as well. This next one is just an idea of what are the 5 big ideas in reading if you're trying to explain this to a parent. What is it, how it's taught, and how we can measure those specific areas. This next piece is from Possibilities. It's a great organization if you're looking for good occupational therapists, and they do a few different trainings actually. They have occupational therapy training, they have occupational therapists on staff, but they also provide some good information about pre-writing skills, how to develop writing, how to develop a tripod grip, how to work on vertical, horizontal, how to work on hand strengthening. All of this would be great ideas from them. This next one is from the Star Center, and they actually do a great job with sensory processing disorders. So if you're looking at specific sensory processing, how to break that down, what is the difference between dyspraxia versus a postural disorder, how to help determine what really is going on with the student, and then what can you do once you find out what those things are. Possibilities also gives you kind of a checklist on what could be going on as an infant, a toddler, a preschooler, and how that could play into sensory processing disorders. This last piece is a handout on literature circles and how to complete literature circles, different pieces, how to do the discussions, how to do the lessons, and then the specific sheets that the students would have to fill out during those literature circles are there for you as well. all the different, this is Mind Connection Graphic Organizer to help students understand how their current knowledge versus what they learn in the book, how that all connects to their reading comprehension. And all of these charts that are in there, there's an example, an explanation of how to use those charts and schema rulers, and all of that is in there as well. So these are just some teacher tips. This is a quick definition and explanation of all the different reading programs that have research behind them, such as Spalding, Orton-Gillingham methods, Singerland, Barton, Wilson, Lindemood Bell, all of them kind of broken down into what are the specific things you might want to know about those programs and what they do, like Project Read. So I highlighted and underlined a few things for you just so that you didn't feel like you had to read everything, but so that you had an understanding of what are the difference between these research-based programs and which one might be best for you and your students. So that's what these next sections are. And then the final one is I gave you earlier a lesson from UDL on how to develop multi-sensory writing centers, and I just highlighted some things in that lesson that I wanted to make sure you guys noticed, and then provided that lesson again for you in case you missed that earlier. So that's in there for you as well. And this last section is about the different kinds of learning disabilities and what you can do to assist with those learning disabilities, different co-teaching strategies, different checklists for dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyslexia, to help communication checklists, just to see what's going on with the student and to try to figure out, could these things be contributing to reading development and disabilities. The Scoptic sensitivity syndrome, if your student had a lot of yeses on this one, you would want to make sure that they saw a language and literary acquisition specialist or an ophthalmologist, as they are able to help with that. And then this last one is a spelling test and a nonsense word test that sometimes people use as a screener for dyslexia. And then this last, an oral reading test, and these very last ones are, again, a fuller dyslexia screener from Barton, and then a language processing screener. So that's what's available in that handout for you. Again, these handouts are pretty extensive, so I'm not going to go through them completely, but these are all here for you just as extra resources. I don't expect you to read this all. This is just, not everything can be covered in a book, and so all of this information is unfortunately not in one book or website, so I'm just trying to compile it for you in the shortest location I could possibly find. TEX has a lot of great specific lessons that you can adapt to whatever you're doing on different reading areas. So they have like a reading comprehension lesson and it's in blue. They'll have a lesson in green on fluency, or they'll have a lesson in pink on something different, but it'll say on it reading comprehension, whatever the lesson's on. But it does a great job about giving you the handouts for the lesson, the graphic organizers for the lesson. The full multisensory lesson is in there. So if you're looking for some great ideas and some good lessons, you can't use these lessons for your task stream assignment because they're not full multisensory lessons, and you'll explain why in the chapter that you read, what you're really looking for multisensory lesson. But these are great mini lessons that you can use if you're looking to teach specific skills. So that's what all of these papers that are different colors are all just lessons, and the color corresponds with whether they're phonological awareness, comprehension, fluency, vocabulary. That's what the colors are all about. The next handout is going to be some things such as reading A to Z, learning A to Z. They all have good correlation charts, and what you're looking for in a correlation chart, if you were to give a parent a level, you want them to be able to take that to the library and to know exactly what Lexile level is that, what Fontes and Pinnell level is that, what grade level is that. So if you're looking for one to give to parents, I always kind of find what our students are at and circle it for parents and say, this is where your child is, this is maybe where their frustrational level is, but this is where the other students or their excitement level might be, but this is where they're fluent. So just to kind of give them an idea, and then they can take that into the library and say, I need books in this area, and the librarian can help them with that. These are some good bookmarks if you're trying to teach different comprehension skills. You can laminate them and have students put them in their books, but they help with those specific skills. They kind of spell them out and give you a visual of what those skills are, but they're great for comprehension. This is some handouts to teach inference, some handouts from reading A to Z, learning A to Z, on what you can do if there are specific problems that you're seeing and how to help with those problems. A few things on reading comprehension, how to concentrate, the 7 keys to comprehension. These are some specific rules. If you're looking for every rule in the English language, this would be a card on each of those. It was created by someone at KU, and it's not been published, but if you're looking for just some easy rules, that was given to me by a teacher. And then self to text, text to self, text to world connections. There's some graphic organizers for that as well in here. The tests, I did realize I didn't give you the full Barton test, so I repeated the SLOS and oral again with the Barton one, so that if you wanted to give those together you could, and it includes all the Barton rules. Again, Barton, you'd need the whole entire Barton program to understand this, but this is just kind of a basic, hey, these are the basic rules that would help you. If you are a classroom teacher but your student is receiving Barton, this is the absolute what you would need to know. So I did put the audiogram on there so that parents, if you're worried about a child who maybe failed their auditory processing, to look at that hearing and see where they're hearing. This is some information on that, helping figure out if your child is really hearing. Accommodations and modifications for sensory issues. And then this last one is one of my favorite books. It's called The Reading Teacher's Book of Lists. It's awesome. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend purchasing it. But it goes through and gives you kind of all of the different consonant sounds, all the vowel sounds, all of the rules within the English language, and then examples of them, including any sort of rhyming, consonants, double vowels. It's all in there. It's a great one. I really love what they did there. So if you're looking for something, that's a great one as well. Then some information. 10 in Every 100 is a great book on dyslexia, and it gives you specific information on dyslexia, where you can go to find the specific research, different organizations that help, where you can get support groups, everything you need to know about dyslexia. I highly recommend. It came in this little 10-pager, and so that's there for you as well. Some comprehension strategies and graphic organizers, and writing assessments. Anything you may not have had in there for your writing assessments, that was added in this as well. And then just a few other predictive checklists to determine what's going on with the student visually, if they are skipping any lines, any of that. I included that as well. A quick phonics screener. You have a few in your book that are kind of mentioned. I just then gave you a copy so that you could do a quick phonics screener, a quick auditory discrimination screener. These are just a copy of a few of those different screeners to help you kind of determine, hey, is it vocabulary, is it homophones, is it word meaning, is it comprehension, is it rhyming, what's really going on with the student? These are just a ton of different screeners, a silent reading comprehension screener, different things on dual exceptionalities, learning disabilities, just tons of different screeners there as well. And then some things on the slant board I talked about earlier, how can you create a slant board for students, UDL, specific areas of UDL, and then way at the bottom, if you can see, let's see, yeah, is the Barton screener to kind of see, okay, what's going on Barton-wise. And then this is, again, part of that book of lists. It gives you every word family there is, and then examples of all the different words that would fall in that word family. It's helpful for teachers if we're trying to look for rhyming words. It's a great place to go that easily shows us all of those, other than rhyme.com. If you're looking for something quick and easy, this again is the spelling list for teacher all the way to the end is the rest of that book. Yeah, that's able to be put here. I couldn't do the whole thing because it's copyright, but just to give you kind of a taste, because I highly recommend you get it. That's kind of the appendix to give you a taste of it. This handout was also given. It's just from RTI, and it gives you kind of different websites and then a breakdown of what those websites do on all kinds of different areas. I know I gave you my 60-page guide, but this is another, if you're looking for specific things like communication, if you're looking for things like math and anxiety and word problems, it gives you some websites that are very specific to each of those. This other free handout is on UDL, and it kind of will walk you through. It's from the University of Maryland, but it walks you through UDL really well and how to create UDL lessons. And that's on there as extra handouts. And then this last extra handout is online tools to help students stay engaged. And it just gives you a few different ways to help students stay engaged that are exciting, different ways to kind of allow for UDL to give some student choice, to give some games. That's what the extra handouts are for this week. The task stream lesson is this week. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. There's a template right here for you. The actual template and rubric are in the syllabus as well if you're looking for that. So in the syllabus at the very top is a template and rubric, and then there are some sample lessons for you if you're looking to see. There's the lesson plan template here. The rubric there is also repeated, and then there are some samples as you go down into the week believe it is last week, but it may be this week as well. Let me see. Have to be reminded.